Buying a house is oftentimes the largest purchase you will make in your life, and whether or not you choose to use a real estate agent, you should be aware of three types of agents that you need to avoid when deciding who you want to represent you in a transaction. As someone who has represented quite a few buyers, I have heard a lot of horror stories from clients who fired their agent because they couldn't trust them anymore after quite a few bad situations. And as a result, I kind of have a pretty good idea on who should be representing you and who shouldn't. Now, we are all aware of the fact that real estate agents can be pretty sketchy. Unfortunately, when interviewing agents and deciding who you want to represent you when you're buying a house, it can be a little nerve-wracking because you don't really know this person too well. So I want to talk about three types of agents that you'll be able to figure out pretty quickly if they're a good fit for you and if they're going to be a good form of representation when choosing to buy a home. If you're new here, my name is Iain Phillips. I am a realtor in Southern California, primarily in Orange County, and I represent a lot of buyers and sellers, and I kind of just make content advising people on how to go about the transaction, looking out for a few red flags that you should be aware of, and talk a lot about what's going on in the market. So if you're interested, subscribe for more and let's get on with the video. Number one is the pushy agent. If you are going to see a house and this agent tells you right off the bat, we need to write an offer by the end of the day, otherwise you're gonna miss out on the home, and the house has been on the market for a couple weeks, chances are they're not telling you the truth. Now, on the other hand, if they let you know in advance, hey, this is the first weekend on the market, I can tell you for a fact there have been 25 showings on this home and it is priced $100,000, $150,000 below market value. And if you want to write an offer, the deadline is Monday, end of day. There's a good chance that they're actually being honest, because there are quite a few homes that are intentionally priced way below market value in hopes to get multiple offers over list price and start a bidding war, especially if the home is beautifully remodeled, priced well, in a desirable city. It's probably going to get multiple offers. So there are instances where they're likely actually telling you the truth, but just be aware that if there is no conversation beforehand and it's still a weekend and the house has been on the market for a while and they're still telling you that we need to write an offer within a certain time frame, there's a good chance that they could be misleading you because they just want a deal to happen as soon as possible. Now, a lot of this depends on where you are in the market and if you've been monitoring the market yourself. But if you've been looking at homes on Zillow, you can probably get a pretty good idea if a house is overpriced or not. So if you're walking through a home, you feel like it needs a little bit of work, it's not perfect by any means, and you're kind of thinking, I don't really know if that many buyers would be interested in this type of home. It's been on the market for 30 days and they haven't had any price drops, and your agent is pushing you to write an offer on that house, you should probably get a different agent, because there are almost no instances that I can recall where a house has been on the market for a little bit and it's not way below market value where I have ever told a client that we need to write an offer ASAP, otherwise you're gonna miss out on this opportunity. Keep in mind that over half the real estate agents in the entire country didn't sell a single house in 2024. So there is a possibility that quite a few of them are in need of a paycheck. And sometimes people coming from different sales backgrounds, pushy sales tactics can work in different industries, but in real estate, it should not be something that you even entertain. Number two is the everything is perfect agent. I'll start this off by a story that a client of mine who I sold a house to probably 2 years ago now, they came to me because they had an agent that they were previously in escrow with on a different home, and they discovered that there was likely foundation issues on this house. And that agent was essentially telling them, ignore that, it's not a big deal, it's not going to cost you that much money to fix it in the future, let's just move forward with this escrow, get your earnest money deposit in, remove all contingencies, and let's just close on this deal. This is the type of agent that you should have red flags going off if this ever happens. And fortunately for my clients, red flags did go off. They fired that agent, they connected with me, and we were able to secure them a house a couple months later. But the everything is perfect agent is a prime example of desperation. They are going to overlook situations that you should probably avoid in order to just close a deal. This oftentimes happens in escrow. Usually it doesn't really happen prior to getting your offer accepted. But if you do inspections and the inspector says, I think you should further investigate this area of the house because legally they're not allowed to tell you if there's any foundation issues, and they say you should get a structural engineer, and your agent is saying, no, I don't think we need to do any of that, and they're ignoring the details in the main inspection report. They're not advising you to further investigate potential issues with the home. You should definitely fire that agent and cancel escrow. Remember, if you are shopping for a home, homes are expensive. And if you are ignoring red flags in the main inspection report, it could cost you tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars in the future. And that is not a home you want to be getting involved in unless you are fully aware of all the major issues. Foundation is a prime example of inspections that people overlook. If you're shopping in a neighborhood where there's no settling, the house has been there since the 70s, there's no settling cracks at all, you have a general home inspection and they don't point out any potential issues with slippage, then you're probably fine not getting a foundation inspection. But if you are on a cliffside, near a golf course is a really important one. You should likely be getting a foundation inspection and making sure that house is going to be stable for the foreseeable future. I'll give you another example on that. I had a buyer that I was representing, and we knew before closing escrow that the house had foundation issues because we had a structural inspection, and they said you need to spend at least $150,000 installing some pylons to ensure the house doesn't slip down onto the golf course. We negotiated while we were in escrow, reduced the purchase price by 150 grand, and they moved forward on the purchase knowing all of these were going to be an issue in the future. But you just want to be aware of the everything is perfect agent because most of the time, not everything is perfect. And number 3 is the shady agent. This is someone who doesn't advise you at all, who is just seemingly writing contracts up, opening doors for you, isn't pointing out any potential issues with the home. For example, not recommending certain inspections. If you're writing an offer, especially for first-time home buyers, this is a really important type of agent that you want to pay attention to. You need to be asking them what type of inspections you should be doing. For example, termite, general inspection, where they're doing the roof as well, testing for any moisture damage. This is all things an inspector should be doing. If the house is over 20 years old, I like to advise my client we should be doing a sewer inspection. Because if you're in a neighborhood where there's a lot of trees and it's a little older, the house hasn't been repiped, you don't want to find out that your sewer lateral, which is connecting the house to the main sewer line in the street, you don't want to find out anything in between that has collapsed because this could cost you $25,000 or even $30,000 down the line. So any homes over 20 years old, I like to do a sewer inspection. They just pipe a camera down through the piping onto the main street, make sure there's no root intrusion in the pipes, make sure none of the pipes have collapsed, because this could cost you a lot of money in the future. Make sure the inspector that your agent is recommending is testing for moisture. It's just an easy moisture gun that they use to detect any wetness behind the drywall, any leaks in the ceiling. These are all things you need to be aware of. Make sure they're at least flying a drone onto the roof, no cracked tiles. All of these you should be aware of prior to close of escrow, because in escrow, you can negotiate credits, you can negotiate repairs that the seller is responsible for, and if your agent isn't even reading the general inspection report, this is a shady agent. Remember, their job is to represent you and make sure you're getting a good deal, negotiate on your behalf. After all, we do get paid money for the deal. We want to actually be doing something for your client, and I have run into too many agents that do not deserve the commission checks that they are getting. So as a buyer, please interview agents, make sure you are happy with the one you're hiring, because at the end of the day, you are hiring an agent to represent you. They are getting paid. You are going to be signing a buyer-broker agreement stating that this agent is going to be compensated X amount, this agent is going to be representing you in a transaction. You want to make sure that you are getting good representation, someone who is going to advise you on what to look out for, negotiate on your behalf, tell you what inspections they might recommend. So that has been 3 agents that you should avoid when deciding who you want to hire for buying a home. Remember, buying a house is oftentimes the largest purchase you're going to do in your lifetime, so you should be represented by someone who cares. If you like this video, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.